with me on the line, Natalie Spears, and I apologize, Natalie, if I butchered your last name. She's a new associate with us in Corp Counsel.
Okay. Welcome, Natalie. All right, we are live. So everyone, welcome. Good afternoon. We are all set for the live broadcast stream of today's Health and Human Service Committee meeting at 6 p.m. on HPA-TV, Comcast, and Frontier Government Channels 96 and 6032. It would also be streamed via hpa-tv.org, the HPA-TV Facebook page, and HPA-TV Roku TV, Apple TV, and Amazon TV apps. It would also be rebroadcast and made available on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. So thank you everyone for being here today. So I'm going to announce the folks as I see them here. So the first tile that I see is Councilman Mictum. And the next is Director I. Charles Matthews. And then we also have Director Liani Arroyo. We have Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon. We have Lydia Colon, who works at the City Council. We have Natalie Spies. Natalie, hello. We have Assistant Director Carmen Chaparro and Corporation Counsel, Mr. Damar Osborne. So welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here. So we're going to call this meeting to order. And so the first one is Mayor Bronin with the company resolution authorizing the City of Hartford to accept a grant of $100,000 through the Department of Health and Human Services for the Homeless Outreach Program for the Elderly, HOPE, from the North Central Area Agency on Aging. So I believe we have Director Arroyo here to speak on that item.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So we have been working to submit new applications for funding for different programs or different needs that we see arising. And one of the needs that we have seen is a rise in homelessness amongst our over 50, over 55 population. It is not something unique to Hartford or the state of Connecticut. It is something that's being seen around the country. And so last year, we applied and received a HOPE grant, so a housing outreach program for the elderly. And this year we're resubmitting that application to the National Council, NCAA, I always have to remember now, National Council Area Agency on Aging. And so this is one of the ones that we've submitted. We've also are working on another application for them around eviction protection and eviction avoidance for our elderly population as well. And this is in partnership with Journey Home, and in, this particular grant is on partnership with Journey Home and Hands On Atlanta. So they're the ones doing the actual outreach, Hands On Atlanta, but it's being managed directly through Journey Home so that there's consistency between our partner agencies on the ground and our advocacy agency like Journey Home that does advocacy at the state level. So that's what this grant is about. It's a part of a larger package of multiple grants that we've submitted to NCAA that we're hoping will get funded so that we can continue the work going forward.
Thank you, Director Arroyo. So I'll open it up to my, let me introduce Majority Leader Councilman TJ Clark has joined us, who's a voting member. So we now officially have quorum, Majority Leader. All right, so I'll open it up the floor to my council colleagues. You guys have any questions? All right, you did such a great job, Director Arroyo, presenting nice and succinct to the point. All right, so, seeing no questions or comments, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion for favorable recommendation back to council.
All right, I second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. So let the record reflect that this item has been sent back to council with a favorable recommendation. Thank you, Director Arroyo. All right. So we'll be moving on to item 2.2, which for clarity for the public, is it's item, there's two resolutions. There's a resolution that was for a study on the North End grocery store by, actually, no, it's only one. I'm sorry, my screen is playing tricks on me. So it's item 2.2, which is a resolution between Councilman Mictum and Councilman Hercules asking for a resolution for a study on the North End grocery store. Just for context, prior to our conversation today, at the last meeting, I believe, Councilman Mictum, you and I have spoken since then, but just to fill folks in, yes, Councilwoman Surgeon, I see you start shaking your head. Oh, okay. So the context is this, is that the general spirit of everyone here, the Health and Human Service meeting, was that we needed to move beyond a study, like we need to create action items. And so Majority Leader Clark, correct me if I'm saying anything wrong, okay? And Majority Leader Clark stated, and all of us in agreement at the meeting, was that we need to begin identifying and start moving in the process of making this happen as opposed to looking at a study. And that the city needs to get behind this item, both in human capital and also in resources. And so from that meeting, we were supposed to have a one-off. We tried to coordinate that meeting, but in conversations with folks, we felt that why not utilize this time to talk to our development services team and director to talk about what is that next step and the identification of potential locations for a North End grocery store. Now, to give previous context, there was conversations within the past year of a grocery store being placed on Main and Albany. And I believe everyone, all my council colleagues that are here felt that that is not the intent of what we're trying to do here. That is more downtown, and that we felt like there needed to be more intentional locations, or at least identifications of location for potential grocery stores that would provide real access for folks that live in the North End of Hartford. So that was a lot. And I just want to make sure that I got the general spirit. Did I miss any, looking at my colleagues, did I miss anything, Majority Leader?
No, no, sir, not at all.
Okay. All right. And so with that being said, Director Charles Matthews is here. We sent some conversations and some talking points prior to today. So Director Matthews, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me just say at the opening, in DDS, we are fully supportive of trying to find a grocery store market somewhere in the north end of the city. We truly understand that for many, and it's a food desert, and we need a grocery store. Let me tell you what we have done since our last meeting to put it all in perspective and to frame this whole thing. At our last meeting, you may recall, we talked about all the various efforts we're making to try to find a grocery store in and around the downtown Albany Main Street area. We reached back out since the last meeting to Randy Salvatore, who's the head of RMS Development. As you know, Randy is responsible for building the Pennant building at Parcel C, 270 units. He'll be building another 500 units across the street from the baseball stadium. He also has Parcel A directly across the street, diagonally from the baseball stadium, where we think we might put a grocery store at some point. Randy has on board a marketing consultant and a retail consultant, and they've been working really hard to identify a operator as we speak. They've had little luck identifying an operator. We've been trying to reach out to those operators who came in earlier when there was all a sea of parking lots. And obviously the argument we will make now is that since new construction is going in and around the ballpark and also at the Arrowhead, that might be an opportunity where operators of a grocery store could come in and actually make money, because at the end of the day, it's all about money. Randy has not been overly successful in finding an operator yet. We reached out to Rex Fowler. Rex, you may know, is the president and CEO of the Hartford Community Loan Fund. He received over $600,000 from the Hartford Foundation to do a study. And his marketing study is on retainer. And that marketing study has been beating the bushes trying to find a grocery store operator of any size who would consider coming to Hartford. We could worry about the location later. We wanted to see if we had someone who would nibble and come to Hartford to try to establish a grocery store. They're still trying. They've had no luck as we speak. We within DDS reached out to a number of smaller area supermarkets. Obviously, if you can't get a big 25,000 square foot supermarket come to town, maybe we're missing the boat. Maybe we ought to reach out to those existing grocery store operators in town and see whether they would be interested in coming in and around the Albany Avenue area or somewhere in the north end of Hartford to locate a grocery store. Because in my view, at the end of the day, it's really not about location. It's about having an operator and then deciding where the location is going to be that might meet the needs of the operator. We have a couple of nibbles, but frankly speaking, we're still working on trying to nail down a local operator who may be interested in coming either around the Albany Avenue area, Albany and Main Street area, or somewhere in one of the neighborhoods. We've also reached out to Keeney Park Sustainability Project. You may know Keeney Park has partnered with Building Forge, and they are trying to put together a 5,000 to 8,000 square foot supermarket to see if they would be amenable. They're trying to locate something in and around the north end. We're still exploring that. Right now, Building Forge is more interested in starting something in and around Broad Street, where their current facility is located. We're still trying to solidify and find a spot in the north end that may be suitable, or around Albany and Main Street area. That's where we are. We're still struggling to find someone, an operator who may be interested in coming to town. I've made it clear at the last meeting we had with this committee, the city does not have the capability to run a grocery store. It's fair to say we're not interested in running a grocery store. We have no capability whatsoever. We have not found even a suitable location as we speak for a grocery store. But I would again argue it's not so much location. The way I think it works best would be if we found an operator and then work with the operator to decide what may be the best site for a supermarket somewhere in and around the north end. And we're still struggling, quite candidly, to find an operator, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll open up the floor for questions. Councilman Mixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I feel frustrated to hear this report from Director Matthews. I mean, partly frustrated because the reason we're all frustrated is that it's hard to make this thing happen. But, you know, we've been trying to find an operator for about 50 years, right? And we still haven't done it. And to hear Director Matthews say that we'll do it, you know, the location will follow the needs of the operator. Well, that's the whole problem here. The needs of the operator are to make money, but the needs of the people are to have a big grocery store. The North End should have what my neighborhood has, what Parkville has, which is Stop and Shop, right? And the work of the city is to give the people what they need. So I hear him say, we don't have the capacity to run a grocery store. Well, every grocery store has a team of managers, right? They have like the head manager, and that person hires the folks around them. How much can that person make in a year? $1 million? Probably not even close, right? We just have to hire a manager who knows how to do the thing. We have to figure out what it costs to build the thing. And the way we do that, or at least the way we see if it's feasible, is we do a study. And I appreciate what you said, Mr. Chairman, about not getting bogged down in studies when we could be taking action. Like, agreed, I'm not a fan of studies. I feel like studies is the way we kill time. But in this case, from what I can tell, all of our efforts have been toward finding a private operator. And all of our efforts, and I don't just mean Director Matthews, I mean like everyone who's been trying this since before I was born, all of those efforts have failed. So in this case, why don't we spend a little bit of money on a study to figure out the feasibility of a different way? Because I don't think we really know if we can do it or not. I mean, I've been emailing Director Matthews and Ms. Rothschild for some time because he said at one meeting that they had researched this issue and determined that a city-run store wasn't feasible. And that was surprising to me because when I brought it up to him some months earlier, he said, I've never looked into that. And so I emailed him and I said, show me your research. And I haven't gotten any response. And when we had our meeting, this committee met last month, what the folks there said was, we've done lots of research on getting private operators, but no research on a city-run grocery store. So I don't know why everyone is so resistant to just figuring out if we can do it another way. Because right now we're not doing it, right? We have no bites from the operator, says the director, which is not his fault. It's economics' fault and racism's fault. And here we are, a city, right, with a budget, with the capacity to hire people, to make plans, to build things. Like, we've done that. We can run things well. I know we don't always run things well, but like, I'll hold our fire department up against anybody's. I'll hold our library up against anybody's. When we do things the right way, we can do things the right way. So what I'm asking via this resolution is that we figure out, we spend a little bit of time and money to figure out if there's another way, instead of spinning our wheels for another 50 years and we can all die with no grocery store in the North End.
Thank you, Councilman Nickton. Councilwoman Surgeon, Councilman Clark. Any comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, not really. It's disappointing. I've been on council for the last 3 years, and I think it's something that this is not the first resolution that has gone in regarding a grocery store. It's just something that is unfortunately, as Mr. Matthews says, that there is very few people want to come into North Hartford to do this, whatever money is going to be made or not. I'm hoping that after, I think it's Village, I think it's Village Force, whenever they finish their program in, in the South End, maybe taking that concept and doing it in the North Hartford. So again, we just have to, keep plugging away at it.
Let me just say this to be as clear as I can. We have $8.5 million from CRDA to put on the table to assist in trying to put a market. Now, obviously, $8.5 million is focused on in and around the Albany and Main Street area. But I suspect if we could find an operator somewhere else in the North End, we might be able to reprogram some of those dollars. So I'm saying that to say we have $8.5 million on the table. Perhaps we can use somewhere in the North End. We also have one marketeer, one big marketing company working with Randy Salvatore, who's a big time developer, and they've been unsuccessful. And we have another big marketing firm working with Rex at Hartford Community Loan Fund, and they've been unsuccessful. I'm just saying that while we can certainly, council and its prerogative can certainly say, we'll hire another consultant firm to look at the feasibility of trying to do something in the North End. I'm just suggesting to you all, I don't think they're going to come up with any real data that will be helpful to us. We need to first be able to identify an operator. I hear what you're saying. The city, in fact, can do some things well, but in my view, the city cannot run a grocery store well. It's true, we can hire a whole team of people to do it, but at the end of the day, given the margins on grocery stores, it may be a situation where the city will have to find itself inputting money on a regular basis to make sure that grocery store is sustainable. Now, that's a council decision, an administration decision. I'm giving you my best read on the situation.
Councilman, Majority Leader Clark, I believe you went off mute, so want to go in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I do share some frustration. Councilwoman Surgeon and I and Director Matthews, we go back to a meeting, I think it was in 2020 or so, with CRDA. And I mean, there is a growing need. And I remember when Rex and his team were trying to lobby 2 administrations ago regarding putting a grocery store downtown. Having spoken with other folks outside of the city administration, what Director Matthews said is true. It's hard to get somebody in to look at Hartford as a area to put a grocery store in the North End. One suggestion to me was, the city, using their words, has to put some skin in the game. Director Matthews had mentioned that there is a $8.5 million pot of money that potentially can be used based upon a location. That's, to me, skin in the game, offering some type of some resources as far as funding. At this given stage, and Councilman Mitchum, I appreciate the resolution, and I think that we're saying the same thing, but just from a different perspective. I just don't personally think that the city can run a grocery store, because when we take a look at the monies that the city put behind a grocery store locating on Trumbull Street, I think it was Trumbull Street.
Yep.
It went belly up. There was money came out of the city's general fund that was just blown, because we could not financially support that type of grocery store with those type of market items to replenish the stock. And there are very small margins. If you talk to those in the grocery store industry, they run on very small margins, and it has to feasibly make sense. There could be an avenue regarding the partnership with Keeney Park Sustainability Project and Billings Forge. We just have to see how that looks, how that looks. And that's just one piece of the puzzle to help to decrease the food disparity in the north end of Hartford. The other is, my dream is to have a grocery store, erected, find a location and built in the north end of Hartford. We just have to figure out how that looks. But I just don't think that the city can do justice with actually operating a grocery store. There's some things that we do well, like we know, and some things that we do not. And I just don't think, given the city's capacity, trying to do a study, I don't think that feasibly makes sense. More so putting our energy and efforts around trying to figure out how in the world we can come up with some type of creative package to lure an operator into Hartford to have that conversation. There's one, I'm not sure what happened to him. I think he's from Coventry, that was found. There, I think, Don, you remember the operator I'm talking about?
Yes, he was in Colchester, I believe.
Colchester. I knew it was a C.
Yeah.
I knew it was a C. Okay.
Yeah, Colchester. Yes.
I'm not sure what happened with him, but at least I know that there were some conversations, with that gentleman, on the hopes that he can do something in Hartford. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Let me just comment real quick, Councilman Mitchum, and then I'll go over to you. So I think from the city side, I think we all share the frustration. The frustration for me, I think broadly, is not so much this resolution, Councilman Mitchum, because I think we've, the study piece, I think you know how I feel about it, but B, we've already tried to do a grocery store and failed, at least supporting a grocery store. The frustration for me is that the people in the North End buy groceries, right? So they buy groceries. The question is, they're not buying groceries in Hartford, right? And so my like that lends me to a larger question as to the marketing aspect of it. And so, but I'll pause there because Councilman Mickham, maybe we're on the same wavelength, but I'll open up the floor to you.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. I am frustrated also with what I'm hearing here, because I hear Director Matthews say he doesn't think the city can feasibly do it. We might have to be pumping money in every year. I hear Majority Leader Clark say that I don't think we can do it. Here, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if we can do it, right? I'm not even gonna pretend that I know, and I don't think any of yous know either. I don't think we can know, right? This is a thing you need some expertise to figure out. Everyone's talking about we tried and failed. Well, we gave some money to a private operator who wanted to run a very bougie downtown grocery store that didn't work. Okay, that failed, right? Fine. But that's not the same thing as saying, what would it cost? What if we hired that whole team? What would the margins be? I'm like, if what it means to have a Stop and Shop on the North End, I'll just say that, in other words, a big grocery store, is that the city has to put $1 million in every year. We're losing $1 million every year. I would at least like to know, because there's a lot of things we do because the people need them and they don't make money. I mean, does the Arroyo Center make money? Does Parker Memorial make money? Does having streets make money? No, we spend the money, we pave the streets, we keep the rec centers open, we do a bunch of stuff because that's what we do. We are a government of a city and our people want a thing and they need a thing, right? Maybe we do the study, we hire some outside consulting agency, we spend, 20 grand or whatever. And they're like, it's going to cost 50 million a year. All right. And then I shut up. But what if it cost $1 million, right? What if for $1 million a year, we could have Stop and Shop in Blue Hills, right? Like, what if that were all it costs? Or even 2 million, right? Like, then we have something to talk about. Then we can come in here and say, is 2 million worth it? Can we find 2 million so that a whole bunch of people can buy cheaper, healthier food closer to home? But we really don't know any of that. We don't have the research. We don't have the data. And that's all I'm saying, right? Like, well, let's not pretend we know the answer, because nobody has solved this problem in 50 years. So let's study a new thing. That's all I'm saying. Try a different thing. Councilman Surgeon said, she's frustrated because we've tried and we've tried. But this is a thing we have not tried. And it has worked in other places. I shared the articles with all of the members of this committee of the way it's worked. All I am asking is, let's get the numbers. Let's find out. Because I think it's irresponsible of us to keep trying the same thing and failing and not even look into a thing that's worked in other places. So I think we're talking about two different things. One of them is, how do we lure an outside operator? Which, yeah, let's keep doing that. Let's keep trying to lure that person. Let's talk about, maybe we just help people travel up to, the Stop and Shop in Bloomfield or any number of other things. Maybe we help Billings Forge put their smaller thing in the North End. Beautiful. We could do all of that. But we should at least know definitively, what would it cost to solve this problem right? I don't know why there's so much resistance to the idea of just finding out if it's possible, because nobody here knows. And everybody here is talking like, well, it's just too much to find out. We spend this kind of money on finding stuff out all the time. This is how we start big projects, by figuring out what they're going to cost. And I would be embarrassed if I found out that for $2 million a year, we could have the thing that all the North End wants. And we've been sitting on it because we want to keep soliciting, 10,000 square foot grocery stores that are going to go belly up in 3 years. We could step up and do the right thing here.
So I want to comment that I do think it's possible as well. But and I do agree with trying something new. I don't always agree with trying a study, because a study isn't anything new. It's new in this arena, but we've done studies before, right? What I would say is, Director Matthews, is I heard a lot about Randy and I heard a lot about Rex, double R, Randy and Rex, but they don't work for the city of Hartford, right? And so the question I have, Director Matthews, is who in the city of Hartford is charged with, you say nibble, but nibble is a subjective word. I don't know what that means. Can you elaborate a little bit more on our efforts from the city side? Because I think Randy's great. I think Rex are great, right? But they're not city employees. So who's charged? Whose desk does this sit on?
And that's true. I mentioned Rex because Rex, when he put together his development agreement, he was charged with the responsibility of trying to find a supermarket operator. So he's out there beating the bushes. I want to make sure you understand that piece of it. I mentioned, I'm sorry, that was Randy. I mentioned Rex because Rex got $600,000 and he has someone, a retainer, who's a marketeer trying to find a supermarket. Those are two private entities. What we have done in DDS, and it's on our plate, just so we're clear, it's on our plate. What we have done is said, fine, let's go another way. Let's try to look at the local food market, grocery store areas in the area. And we reach out to the smaller supermarkets and say, would you be interested in coming to either the downtown area or going to somewhere in the north end if we can find a great location for you, if we put some skin in the game for you? And what I meant by nibble is we have a couple of operators that you know throughout the South End and other places. I won't put them on a blast now. And they said, no, we're not interested at all. We have one or two who said, well, let me talk to my board. Let me talk to my people, and I'll get back to you. That's why I meant when I said we have some nibbles. Now, as far as Building Forge is concerned and Kennedy Park sustainability, Building Forge is trying to do a supermarket in and around Broad Street, Capitol area, Capitol Avenue area. And they're working with Kennedy Park folks to try to then, secondly, do a supermarket somewhere in the North End. But they want to do their supermarket first. So what's new here, that the remark that was made by another council person, we're trying now in DDA to step out and see who else is out there that we can use that may be an existing supermarket or may want to be in the business of running a supermarket. Is there someone else out there that we can enter into business with to do a supermarket? And again, we got 8.5 mil. We're beating the bushes. We got Randy beating the bushes. We got Rex beating the bushes. We're all beating the bushes. I get what is said about we just don't know, but economics are economics. And you look at the economics of a supermarket and you say to yourself, does the idea, in my view, does the idea of doing the feasibility study to have the city run a supermarket, is that a good idea? Does the city have that kind of expertise or capacity? And is it a good investment for city dollars? And you say 2 million, it might be more. We have no idea. That's true. We don't know exactly what it is, but we first have to find an operator. There's no one I know in North Hartford as we speak who can run a supermarket. There's no one in the city as we speak that can run a supermarket. So we would have to put together a whole team of people if we went down that road. I get it. It's up to the council and the administration to decide whether they want to do a feasibility study. It's just my position as DDS director is I think we're better off on the path with Billings Forge and Kennedy Park. We're better off trying to convince some of these existing operators in the area, some in the South End, some in other small towns around us, they come in here and try to open a supermarket in the North End. We'll get the land for them. We'll get money to help construct it. We'll do all that if we can find an operator.
So, Director Matthews, just a couple of things, because Councilman Mickham, I think we could keep going forward about a study, and eventually we'll come on a vote on this. But maybe we need to propose another resolution, or because I think what we need to do is operate in an objective fashion. And Councilman Mickham, I believe that's what you're trying to get to, is like we need some objectivity. There's a lot of nibbling, there's a lot of this, a lot of that. But
Data.
Why don't we make this a little bit more concrete? So Director Matthews, out of the top 10 grocers, right? I would like to know what grocers have we tried to reach? And then secondly, what I would like to know is what is our marketing plan? Have we sat down with them? Have we gone to grocery store expos? What is the amount of efforts? Are we reflecting what is our trade capacity? Are we expressing the dollar demand? Right? Folks are buying groceries, right? And so the question I have, right, when I was in sales, is when I know that there's sales dollars and we're not cultivating the sales, then I got to switch up the salesperson, right? And so, and what is the sales pitch? And so we got to sharpen the sword on what is the sales pitch and what is the salesperson. Are folks doing this on the side of their desk? Like, what is the objective measures, right? What are the objective measures? How are we saying? What does progress mean? Are we reaching out to 10 folks? Are we having a forum? Like, what does that work look like? You know, what I think the bigger thing is to provide that clear, objective, transparent marketing scheme. What are we doing to present to grocers? How are we partnering with grocers? And which grocers have we reached out to? The last thing is, have we went back to the team? Look, the team on the field is the team we got. And so have we went to with some of the medium, not the bodegas, but the medium-sized grocers to see if they have an interest of wanting to build a grocery store. I met with some of the smaller, medium-sized folks last week. No, they've expressed to me that no one's reached out to them. Personally, I met with somebody the week before. And so, like, those are the types of things that I believe, like, this needs to be a high priority in front, like front of the stove, front stove on someone's desk until we unpack, move every rock, move every leaf, because these dollars are being spent somewhere. People are eating groceries, and we can't just throw our hands up and say, "I bendito." Bendito is a Spanish term for, you know, okay, it's fine. Like, it can't be fine. Our dollars are going somewhere. And so we have to use objective measures to invest, to bring back those dollars in the city of Hartford to tackle these food desert issues. So I'm sorry, Director Matthews, that was a lot, but I'll tee it up to Councilman Mickham.
Thank you. And this is I won't keep hammering this point, but I appreciate Director Matthews conceding that he also doesn't know if it's $1 million or 2 million or 10 million. And, you know, the thing is, when you say the economics of a grocery store, the margins, what I'm talking about is treating groceries as a fundamental service that are outside of economics, the same way we treat rec centers and roads and fire and police, right? No one asks the police to generate enough revenue to justify their existence. We just have the police because that's the thing we provide for the people. So we can take the same approach to a grocery store and accept that we're going to lose money because it matters, because the people want the thing and they need the thing. But right now, when we keep talking about finding operators, it's like if we had a stomach ache and we're like, oh, it's just indigestion, let me take some Tums. And we take some Tums and our tummy keeps hurting. And we take some Tums and it hurts more and more and more. And someone's like, yo, you should go to a doctor. You know, you should get a blood test. And we're like, nah, we can stick with the Tums. Tums. That is what we're doing right here. We're just throwing the same solution at a problem, even though that solution has never yielded benefits to us. And all I'm saying is, like, let's go get the checkup. Let's go get the blood test. Let's have a little more information. You know, I mean, DDS has like hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in its budget that it doesn't spend from year to year. Y'all could peel off 10 grand, 20 grand and hire some consultants to tell us, is it $1 million? Is it 5 million? Is it 20 million we would have to spend yearly to have a Stop and Shop in the North End? And then we would know. And then we can make an informed decision. So I'm asking y'all to vote this back favorably to council.
Yeah, I think what I think we should do, and Majority Leader Clark as the other voting member, I would love to hear your opinion on how you want to do this motion. I think the bigger thing from a Health and Human Service perspective, we're tackling this as a food desert issue. And so the topic isn't going to go away. I think we're all partnered on that, and that we can't wave our hands up and say, like, let's just hope that, you know, it's fine, right? So I think we're all in agreement there. Majority Leader, I'd love to hear your opinion on what you want to do with this resolution as the other voting member.
Can I just answer your earlier question?
Of course, Director Matthews, yes.
You're right in when you indicate that you need to have a better sense of who we reached out to. And I think it's fair to say we reached out to most of the folks in the city are not huge. We don't have, at least in the North End, anywhere near the North End, the Stop and Shop. I wish I could get a Stop and Shop, but they don't even seem to want to come for 8 mil. Whole Foods C-store, they don't want to come for 8 mil. So we're thinking about medium-sized supermarkets and a little larger size supermarket, for example, like Geisler's in Windsor Locks, or just throw that one out. That size supermarket we're trying to find. So we do have a list. Now in DDS, we're not subject matter experts on the economics of a supermarket, but Rex has that $600,000 consultant who's on retainer, and they are in fact subject matter experts on a supermarket. So when we get a supermarket, and we haven't got one yet, I want to be clear, to say we might consider Mr. Director coming to the city to do a supermarket even in the North End or somewhere around Albany Main Street. Then we grab Rex Consultant, bring that consultant to the table, Mr. Chairman, and do all that kind of data you're talking about. What are the economics on the supermarket? What would be your profit margin? What do you need to make this happen? What kind of skin does the city need to put in the game to make this work? How many employees you would need? Give us a 10-year plan, and we'll plan all that out. We're not there yet only because we know where the data is located. We know what the data is. We're still struggling trying to find an operator who will come to the table who we can sit down and negotiate with. I get the councilman's point of view that at least if you hire a consultant, and contrary to popular belief, we don't have a lot of money floating around in DDS. I have a lot of projects in DDS where I spend a lot of money on to make the city livable for people. But that being said, if the council or the administration decided to go down that road, we can certainly do that. But it's not my call. I tell you what I think.
Yeah, I think the energy is better made into. I'm just not a huge study fan. I'm sorry, Councilman Mickman, but I am a fan of seeking solutions within the team that we have. Councilwoman Surgeon.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I remember my memory correctly, I think Rex had gotten or done a study on supermarket. And again, this was a couple of years back. He surveyed the residents in the community. He did that money that came from wherever he got the money from the study.
Foundation.
So the study has been done, if I'm not mistaken, regarding the supermarket. So, doing another study again, and again, I'm not a voting member, but should the resolution come to council, I'm like, something was done a couple of years ago. We know what we can do. We have some money towards it. And if the study was done several years ago and we still haven't gotten anyone to take up our offer, even giving them $8 million, then, I would still like to wait to see what happened at Billings Forge. I think they have a great plan. I think, they just want to get theirs up and going before their partnership to do one in North Hartford. So, again, memory serves me correctly. I think a study was done on that and community, with community outreach and, survey that was done in the community.
Majority Leader Clark, what do you think? I just want to, on this motion. I see you, Councilman Mickman. I see you.
As stated in that last month's meeting, I'm just not a fan of the study. I think we have the information that we need to chart a pathway forward. Given the resources, the problem is, to me, and we have seen this, Development Services is another city department that operates in bare bones.
Right.
And so the time, because we have Director Matthews has not filled, at least till I know, has not filled the Director of Planning position yet. And so not Aaron Stewart, what's her last name? Howard is the Director of Planning and Economic Development. So two major divisions within Development Services is now under one person. Right. And I just think that we can save some of their bandwidth and with already existing information and resources, and chart this pathway forward as to finding a reasonable solution and way for us to get all that we want. I think we all want the same thing. It's just about a difference of opinion on
How we get there.
how we get there. Exactly.
All right, Majority Leader, you want to make, Councilman Mick, I'm gonna let you talk, but I just want Majority Leader to make a motion.
I would like a motion to postpone this
I second,
resolution.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Point of order, I want to comment. You're
Sorry,
supposed to allow for
discussion.
No,
comment.
no, I mean,
Yes,
but
this-
I think the voting members are allowed, but I'll let you comment, Councilman Mick.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, no doubt.
I want to clarify something Councilwoman Surgeon said that Rex Fowler had commissioned a study a few years back. But again, that study focused on what did we need to do to attract a private operator. What we have never studied is what would it cost us to do it ourselves? How would we sustain it? And if we have the Director of Development Services saying, we haven't done the study to tell us this stuff, well, then, they're not doing what they need to be doing. That would be a development service for us to explore all the options. So honestly, don't postpone it. Vote on it. Vote it down. If you think that we should not turn over every stone to get a grocery store in the North End, then what I think is that we don't all want the same thing, the same amount. Because if you're not going to do a simple thing that's cheap by city standards to have all the options in front of you, you don't want it that much.
Okay, I disagree with you, Councilman Mick, but just we have an option. There's still multiple options on the table, right? It's just, A, the study, and B, the feasibility of the city of Hartford running a grocery store. We're not in the grocery store business. We're in the people business.
We're not in the health club business, but we have rec centers. We call them rec centers, not health clubs, but they could be health clubs, right? I mean, it's the same thing.
Okay, so all in favor of the motion to postpone?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so Director Matthews, what I will say, and what I'll ask all my council colleagues that are here, Lydia, if you could put a point of, I want to reach out to folks, and potentially, guide, the conversation, that we want to have, at least where we were leaning towards this, evening is, and what I'm interested in, and if folks are interested in crafting a resolution, hopefully this will be helpful to you, Director Matthews, is a resolution, objectifying the efforts, right? Trying to bring more transparency to all the efforts that you're doing, Director Matthews, in support of, not in contrast of, but in support of. I think all of us want to be able to help. And some of the highlight, is the available sites and development costs. I would like to see the marketing plan. I like to see, what are the potential blowbacks that folks are saying in conversations around the negative perceptions as to opening a grocery store. I like to know are the top 10 grocers, folks that, what are they saying? What are the contacts saying? Maybe we had Rex here, but we didn't have Randy Salvatore here. Maybe we bring Randy here. So also exploring all the developmental incentives as well. So Lydia, I know that's a lot. But thank God this is recorded, and and we'll come back and circle on it. Okay, so we're all passionate and we're all frustrated. And Director Matthews, we'll see you here until we get a brand new grocery store. We cut the ribbon. I have Josh and I have Councilman Mick cut the ribbon.
Listen, let me just say this: no one supports a grocery store in the North End more than I.
Exactly.
If I could write a check myself, I would have a grocery store in the North End. Believe me when I tell you.
I got the blank check right here, Director Matthews. We're gonna get it though.
We're the city. We could write a check. We could do it if we wanted to.
We will.
Councilperson, we'll redouble our effort and be more transparent on who we're talking to, and see if we can find some solution to this problem.
All right.
It is on the top of my list, even with everything else taking place.
I know, Director. We've spoken offline, and I know you're passionate. We're all passionate about this, and it's not going away. So we're going to keep hammering at it. All right. So with that being said, there's no other item. At least Lydia, I don't think so. All right. So we'll adjourn this meeting. Everyone, thank you.
Go UConn.
Go UConn. You already
Go
know. Bye, everyone. Everyone have a good evening. All right.
All right, good night.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.